Before we get started, I just want to thank each and every one of you out there that voted for Not a Pundit at the Irish Pod Awards. And I'm delighted to say we have made the final 8 for Best Sports Podcast of the Year. It's an incredible achievement. We're all delighted and we have you to thank. Now on with the episode.
Messi. Messi. Oh my goodness. Balotelli. Aguero. That is extraordinary. What a headshot. What a hit. Back of the net.
Hello, and welcome to Not a Pundit. My name is Killian Ginnity, and I'm delighted to be joined, as ever, by Conor Glennon and Nathan Byrne. Gentlemen, how is spooky season treating you?
Well, I tell you what, after making that final shortlist, I'm feeling pretty damn good, and it definitely made me feel better after that dismal display that Newcastle had against Brighton. But you know, next up, November 6th.
Nate, how are you doing?
I'm good. Likewise, delighted to be in the final 8, and finally the ways have changed. United have got some points on the board, so buzzing.
Well, in fairness, United aren't the ones getting the headlines this week, really. I think it was an underwhelming performance against Brentford, but I think one of the stories that had so far gone under the radar is Liverpool are on top of the league, Connor. And are they title contenders?
It's really looking like it. You know, I don't know about you guys, but I had my concerns with Arnie Slot. Now it's Arnie, not Arnie. But yeah, for me, I think I didn't know what to expect with coming in off the back of Klopp as such a charismatic manager. It was big shoes to fill, and I didn't know too much about him, to be honest. And he's really taken to it like a duck to water. I think they're a little less. What's the word? I suppose there's less drama around them internally, and I think they're a bit more relaxed, and I think it's working out in the pitch. But I think tactically, he's running a masterclass over there. What are you guys thinking?
When he kind of first took over, I do remember saying here on the podcast that I was interested in kind of how he was setting up the team, because it looked like that he was basically playing without a central striker. Now that hasn't been the case in the season. Well, unless you don't count Darwin Núñez as a football player. But he's actually found a way to make Darwin Núñez work. Ibrahim Konate has actually become very good. In fairness to Arnie, as he will always be called in my head, get to the chopper. But Matip was always going to be a hard one to replace. He's managed to do that. Gravenberch looks great, Nate. I've been very, very pleasantly surprised by him.
I was quite critical of Liverpool at the start of the season, let's say that. I didn't think they'd done enough business. They've barely done any. They've surprised me, but they haven't had the toughest fixtures. I think that's something that needs to be accounted for.
Said like a true United fan.
I'm impressed with them. I think they're playing good football, but they haven't played the toughest fixtures, and they've bet a Chelsea side that are hot and cold when they want to be. Going back to Connor's question, do I think that they'd be title contenders? No.
Okay.
I think the squad's a bit too light. I don't think they've got a title contention squad. I think there's still 2-3 injuries from big players away from being taken out of contention. So if they can keep the whole squad fit, they could contend for the league, but I personally don't think they will be.
I think they're going to have to build in January, and on Gravenberch, I think he's the one that's really been a surprise to me. He's taken that sixth position really, and he's kind of bossing it around for me.
In Football Manager, he'd be called a regista.
A regista. That sounds a lot more cultural and exotic.
Yeah, just kind of playing that little bit of a playmaker, sitting deep, but also kind of moving out a little bit to the wide positions. Nate, you mentioned the Chelsea game. It wasn't the most convincing win, but it was still a win, and I think that's the difference under Slot, is that they've managed to turn them kind of potential draws into wins. They've found a way to grind out results. Like earlier on in the year when they bet Hull, they won, but all Slot talked about was the final 10 or 15 minutes, where they just weren't good enough as far as he was concerned. And I think that's been really impressive. Like, when you looked at what they did against Chelsea when they got their equalizer for their first goal, they found that there was just space of them in the middle. That was it Jones? I think it was Jones was getting pulled out left. Gravenberch was being pulled out right.
Just a cavern in the middle then.
Cavern in the middle for Chelsea's third midfielder, and Nunes wasn't, or Szoboszlai wasn't kind of reacting properly, and they were able to exploit that gap. But within minutes, Slot had that filled, and then suddenly Salah was coming really deep, but Nunes was then doing that kind of manic horseman thing that he does, which then was kind of drawing Chelsea defenders towards him, and then would leave on the attack space for Salah to come in, which I think he's a kind of boat right in the sense that they should have signed more. I don't think they're a weak squad. Yes, they are an injury away from being a worry, but the only worry of an injury that they should be considering is Salah, and he's not a player that particularly gets injured that often. So it's a really, really hard one. A bad injury to Salah would completely derail their season. But when's the last time you had a bad injury?
I think the other thing you have to remember is with that squad depth is it isn't just the players they didn't buy, it's the players they're potentially losing in the summer with that spine of Trent, Salah, and Virgil van Dijk, and there's big uncertainty there. Do they all go? I doubt it. But on the Gravenberch thing, like, I think what's making that team cook is that Rodri is what makes City work. He is the timekeeper. He just, everything flows through him. He's kind of that quarterback. And I'm not comparing Gravenberch to Rodri. He's a poor man's version of, but I think it works within that Liverpool system, and it's making them work better as a team. And I think the best thing you can say about Slot in his time there is the team are bought in on how he's playing. Yes, it's very similar to how Klopp played, but it is different, and it's working. And I think if you're Klopp, part of you'd be going, I wanted you to do well, but not that well.
Yeah.
Lads, I think we're forgetting that this Liverpool side was playing teenagers last year. Like they literally were playing teenagers.
Yeah.
Like, so I do think the squad is a worry. Like, I think, honest personally, that the heads at Liverpool will be going, for like, shit, why did we not buy players this summer? Like,
the only good thing about playing teenagers last year is they're now experienced this year. So like it kind of puts them in a better position. I'm not saying that's not a worry, but it's putting them in a better position. Like one of the things I did kind of see online by Liverpool fans, and they're an optimistic bunch, shall we say. It was comparing Kobe Mainoo and Curtis Jones.
Oh, that's the biggest. Like,
Curtis Jones is an OAP in comparison. He's 24 now. He kind of has that Jesse Lingard disease of forever a teenager.
Zero England caps, by the way.
But he's also kind of found his place for Liverpool. It's not a starter or not a consistent starter, but he actually has merit to being in the squad now. And like, in fairness to Slot, he seems to have found positions for these players that there was always a question mark over. Like, if you look at Nunes, what other squad would he actually fit in the Premier League? Having that kind of glorified, it's a true forward position. You can't have a striker in a Liverpool in their tactics right now. It's why, like, if you look at Aston Villa are doing really, really well. And a lot of that right now is down to John Duran and Ollie Watkins, and both of them are like strikers. And like Duran is complete opposite to Nunes, because like I think Duran had something like 8 passes in one of the last games, and 6 of which went to his own teammates. But he's having these minimal amount of touches and is getting in this goal scoring positions, more importantly. And like Nunes is nearly the exact opposite. He's getting on the ball quite a bit.
Nothing's going in.
And very little for him going in.
Yeah.
But he's doing enough work, both relatively on the ball, but more off the ball, to create space for Salah and Szoboszlai and anybody else to go and take the glory. And I think there's a lot of Premier League teams in the last 2 years like when Conte won the league with a back five, everyone was playing a back five. Now Haaland is ripping it up. Everyone's starting to play when it kind of more of a striker position again. And Liverpool are now doing the opposite. And I think it's a really, really clever against the grain way of doing it. And do I think they're title contenders? Yes, in the same way that Arsenal are. I don't think they're going to win it, but I think they're going to go towards the end where it'll be like,
they'll be there or thereabouts coming into the last 6 weeks.
I think
yeah,
Arsenal
like
are...
if City implode in the last month, it could be between Liverpool or Arsenal. City aren't going to implode, so technically they're contenders.
I think Arsenal are like above Liverpool in terms of squad, and I think they're just more hardened to the league grind now that they've had to go 2 seasons back to back with City. My worry about Liverpool, and I think it will happen, is there, as you mentioned with Nunes, is he's finding these spaces for the other forwards. But I think we're soon going to see they're going to come up against teams where they'll be like, lads, we'll just leave Nunes, like, even if he gets a shot, like, you know, it's water off our back. Like, so I think we'll start to see teams sort of find them out a bit. And I don't think they've come up against the quality of opposition yet to be the team to find them out.
The quality thing is, you are bang on the money there, but I think if and or when teams kind of figure out the Nunes hack, Slot seems more than capable to react. Like Queeving Kelleher was saying that, like, apparently Slot's big thing, Connor, is work to the end. Which is what
we said what we said in a recent pod about the Ireland team, and that's what we want. And
yeah,
like, I mean, it sounds so stupidly simple, but like it's a rarity these days that players aren't built like they used to be in the same kind of effort side of things. Like, don't get me wrong, players are more skillful than ever, faster, younger, whatever. But it's that effort and I dare say pride or fight. And that's lacking amongst today's players. I know it sounds like an old man shouting into the wind, but like to me, it really is the case.
I have a question on the fight part. So this is the Liverpool side that hasn't changed much. It's a team that's been run into the ground, in my opinion, by Jurgen Klopp. In terms of the team sort of came to its end, in my opinion, in terms of trying to get new bodies in and stuff. Does this team have a whole season of fight in them? I think that because
it's a fair question. I think it comes back to what you were saying about the quality of teams that they've played. Now, if you're a Liverpool fan, you're gonna say we can only beat the teams that are in front of us so far, which is fair. At the same time, though, I think if there is a big winner or a big game or two that go against them, it'll be interesting to see how swift that changes things in terms of in the dressing room and how the players react to that. So I think it's as sitting on the fence as it sounds. I think it's a wait and see situation on that one.
In fairness, I think we're kind of like underestimating their squad depth in terms of the players that they have that are in that kind of rotation of being starters. Like when you have Cody Gakpo, Chiesa hasn't even got a run of games yet. So like,
I forgot they got him. Jesus.
Yeah, so like there's the likes of him. There's Luis Diaz. There's Diogo Jota. There's Connor Bradley. Like I want to see more of him. Like
he's exciting.
He's really exciting. He was very good for Northern Ireland during the international break. Even Harvey Elliott has worked a run out.
Like all these players, like you look at, not all of them, but a large majority of them aren't world beaters, but they're damn good players. Like they're not. When you said is poor,
Yeah, like they're not the kind of players that when you put them on, you're gonna go, "Oh God!"
They're
not a Titus Bramble.
See, I'm gonna anger Liverpool fans here, okay? But I do it in the friendliest manner, okay? Are you scared if Connor Bradley, Harvey Elliott come on the pitch? Like, are they players that will win you a title?
They aren't players that win you a title, but they are players that could potentially win you a game, especially Harvey Elliott, because he can bang it from out 50 yards out and get a fluker. He has his moments. He's not someone I'd depend on to win me the league, but he's someone if I was, I don't know, 0-0, 10 minutes left, throw him on, he may do something.
See, there's one of these things with these kind of players as well is, depending on how you use them, and from what we've seen of Slot, and I wasn't I wasn't gushing over him when he was appointed. I was not excited for it. But like, you don't need the likes of Conor Bradley to come in and win you a game against Man City. You need him to win you a game against like a Bournemouth and stuff, so
Yeah.
that you can bring in these players on the weaker games and then be able to save players for the bigger games. And I think that's where we will see Liverpool get more clever. They wanted to get the whole vibe of what's going to be happening now. They've done it with the kind of the bigger players, and they're going to get a little bit more clever coming into the Christmas and New Year. And that's going to be the real tell. Come January, we will know if they're going to be true title contenders. But as it stands, Liverpool are.
They need that kind of Fergie squad rotation kind of situation where he had it down to a T, where he'd be able to rest his big hitters from time to time, and he'd still have 10 lads who could come in and do a job. Like, no one that's going to win any Ballon d'Ors or even get nominated for Player of the Season. But the main
Like,
thing is they filled the gap and didn't mess it up.
like Nate, there's plenty of Liverpool players that be getting into the United squad pretty damn easy.
Yeah, but that's not what I'm forming my argument on. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I know what you're saying.
so if Robertson gets injured and Conor Bradley has to come in for 15 games of the season, if one of the midfielders gets injured and Curtis Jones has to come in and play 15 games, if like that's what I mean. It's like once you get 3 or 4 injuries, is that squad comes down a few levels.
Yeah, and
Where I don't-
I think they'll address that. I think they will address some of that in January. I know the ownership situation in Liverpool is still kind of TBC on do the owners want to be there or do they want to sell out, or with the way they're playing, do they want to hold in front of the title and then sell? But I do think there'll have to be some sort of investment to strengthen the volume of players they have come January. Because if they don't, I think you're right.
And by the way, I'm not just leveling this at Liverpool. I think it's the exact same with United. But from what I've gathered and what I've seen, Arsenal and City don't seem to push their players as much in terms of what they're doing on the pitch. That I think the level of injuries that we saw from United and Liverpool last season doesn't seem to happen to Arsenal and City. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, maybe it does come into something as simple as kind of been there, done that when it gets into the dirty end of the season. I don't know though. It's I'm really happy just to have another team in the mix. Like, I think by having two birds pecking at the eyes of City, it's going to make a much more entertaining end of season. I think anywhere City can drop points is a good thing, and having a second one of them can only be good for the rest of the league. But then like the other thing that shouldn't be underestimated, like I mentioned Villa earlier, like Villa are on the same number of points as Arsenal. Like,
you got to give Villa their flowers this year. Like, I mean,
so good.
It's not long ago they came up from the Championship again. Like, they what Ben McGinn as captain has been able to do there, and I mean, you look at what Emery's been able to do there. He was laughed at in his last role, and he's revolutionised that club, and it's great to see. Look, Villa are a very historic club in I'd argue world football, but definitely in European football, and it's great to see them back at the heights that they're striving towards.
Good
And
ending.
like, one of the things about them as well is like they're getting tunes out of players that like other teams either didn't want or kind of underestimated themselves. Like the likes of Ross Barkley. Like, I know he did quite well at Luton, but like
He didn't blow the doors off the place though, and same when he was at Chelsea.
yeah, like it's Nate, if Emery was to be linked with United, would you be chuffed, or would you be kind of a little bit kind of like, it wasn't great at Arsenal?
Oh, that's a tough one.
That's a very tough one because
I think
has
he's
he learned
prepared
from his
his rep.
mistakes? Yeah, like the only thing is for me, Nate, before you jump on this one, like the thing I'd build on Killian's question there is Villa his level, and I'm not demeaning Villa when I say that, but you know what I mean.
I'd say he wouldn't even want the United job.
That's a fair point.
I think
No,
you're
genuinely.
right. Yeah,
Like, I think he likes the underdog mentality,
mm.
and I think some managers like that. And I think that's fine. Some managers are just very good at getting players to go with us versus them type mentality where it's, you're the underdogs, although Villa are doing amazing, but Villa shouldn't be there. Do you know, like when we're thinking so I don't think he'd want the United job, and I don't think he should take it. I think he's got a great project building there. I think the club have invested really well. Um, they don't go out and buy world beaters that they're trying to get names, like trying to sign players just off names. So like I think he's doing great. Like John Duran, though, my only thing would be are we looking at a flash in the pan type player? Like,
I do worry about that as well, and he is exciting to watch. And I saw a meme before we hopped on of he's possibly the scariest sight to see when your team's 1-0 down because he's going to make it a hell of a lot worse for you. But yeah, I do wonder. I hope not. He's a great player, and I'd love to see him continue on the level he's at. But I would have those concerns as well.
He's 20 though.
You do
yeah,
forget that.
but Gillian, like we've seen plenty of players come onto the scene and go and have like generational form, but it doesn't last very long.
Hadn't Ben Arfa.
All I'm saying is,
I hate to say it, but
United had him pocketed when he came on. So like,
Well, the thing though about him is he hasn't been a flash in the pan. Like it took him a little while to
Yes.
bed in. He's 30, 40 appearances, and I
he's
don't
having a
think
moment. We'll put it that way.
No,
Well, it's a flash in the
definitely
pan.
having
He's
a
having a
but
moment.
the flash in the pan part is where he's scoring in the same situations every game.
Yeah.
That is that's flash in the pan.
Jamie
Like,
Vardy made a career of it, though.
Arjen Robben made a career of it. Like it is one of them kind of things. Is where he's scoring from an inevitability, and can he always be there?
But is that going to be
So
his
far, it seems to
downfall?
be
Is that going to be his downfall that he is that type of player? Like, can you stake John Duran on for 90 minutes?
I think he can.
Will you get the same output? Like,
I don't know
I,
if he can do 90 minutes. I
I
think
think
he's a
it might
70
work.
minute
I
max.
think it might work against him. Like,
In fairness, though, like there's been plenty of like look at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Like you can make a very, very well respected long after you've retired career off of being a one trick pony if that trick is damn good, and it seems that he has a damn good little trick. And in the Premier League, if you can guarantee 12, 15 goals, 16, 17 goals a season, well then in the current market you're a 40, 50, 60 million pound player, and that's nothing to be sniffed at.
Yeah.
And
You
I
forget
think
he's so young.
I think the likes of an Arsenal would be delighted to have that kind of a one trick pony that they can kind of go, yeah, as long as we can do X, he'll do Z.
I think I do see where Nate's coming from, though, because then there is a risk of him turning into a Eddie Nketiah type player where, yeah, he'll get you somewhere in and around 7-8 goals a year. It's valuable, it's marketable, but there's plenty of those guys out there,
can I make a prediction?
Go for it.
I think it will seem continue to do this for a little while. A top club, won't name names who it could be or whatever, probably us. We'll spend a lot of money on him. We'll end up having to start him due to the money they paid, and I think we'll see a dip. That's how I think it will go. Although I'd love to see him kick on, I think that's how it'll go.
I'm not sure.
It's very possible.
I don't know about Villa selling to other Premier League teams.
If the money's right.
Everybody has their price, but like not when it's currently like your rivals. Like ultimately, like you're going up against Champions League qualification rivals there. Like I think when he's doing what he's doing in the Premier League, which we have seen time and time again, especially for strikers, is such a ridiculously hard league to break any kind of niche into. If he got a big money move to Spain or Germany or Italy, he'd be banging in 25 goals.
Yeah.
And then suddenly Chelsea are going to spend 120 million on him and loan him back out the year later. Like, I think as long as he keeps doing what he's doing in the Premier League, he'll have an absolutely fine one, a fine career in the Premier League, valued very highly in a relative sense. If he goes to another league, he'll absolutely be a continental beater, not necessarily a world beater. And I think Villa are too clever to sell to another Premier League team. So if they do sell in 2 or 3 years after 30 goals, 40 goals in total over them 2 or 3 more years, well, then he's going to be a household name for the likes of a Barcelona.
Do you know what? I actually think if I'm City, I'm breaking the bank for him.
Oh wow, you've changed.
Wow.
That's a change of tune now.
It would fit
I
for
think-
how you're saying about the subs and stuff. He would be the perfect Gabby Jesus replacement from like 2 years ago.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. Is like if you need a guy behind Erling Haaland to come on for 20 minutes, like it might as well be him. Like if you City don't have a backup striker, I'd be buying him.
City don't need one though. They're bloody
No,
cheap.
but
Anyway,
like
they'll be in the Super League in 2 years' time. Don't worry
Oh,
about it.
don't get started
John
on this
Duran is going to
again.
have a much better career
they'll
than
be in
being.
League Two, mate.
John Duran is going to have a much better career than being City's backup.
I don't know. Watch this space.
Connor, you sent me something pretty bloody random on WhatsApp the
Wouldn't
other
be
day.
like me.
No. Tranmere Rovers, who I have to say, do you remember their old logo, the blue one?
I kind of
I don't like their new logo. I don't know how long they've had it. I don't like it. Can we just go back to the other one? But apparently Tranmere Rovers, the household name echoing in the halls of English football history, are going to be under somebody's new umbrella. Who is it, Connor?
Now, there is rumours swirling that none other than the rapper ASAP Rocky is part of an investment group looking to buy the club. So a bit of background, I suppose, on where Tram are at the moment. So they're owned by joint owners, husband and wife, with the kind of face of the brand being Mark Palios, and he has been very tactical in his comms about this because there's a lot of talk that there's NDAs out there that he's not allowed name check the potential investors. So he's cryptically said that he wants a deal to sell the League Two club concluded ASAP, which is quite smart on his part.
Love that.
You might recognise his name. He was previously the Football Association chief executive, and he also played more than 280 appearances over 2 spells with Tranmere. So he knows the club back to front, and kind of what he's had to say about the club is that the situation is that we've been looking for an investment in the club for almost 2 years. The club has potential that is unrealised and it can be taken forward. And we haven't been we haven't had a for sale sign up, but they've been approached, and that approach comes in the form of this investment group. Now, ASAP Rocky isn't. I can't believe I'm putting these two names together, but yeah, ASAP Rocky is not fronting that investment group. He's a part of it, and
So is that kind of like Michael B. Jordan going into Bournemouth initially, where it's kind of like, I'm happy to have my name associated with, but I'm not going to
Exactly.
be
Oh,
like
lad,
financing.
I thought ASAP Rocky and Rihanna loved it in Birkenhead. I thought that was where they went on holiday.
No, the stimulus for this comes in the form of celebrity lawyer Joe Tacopina, and the investment group are looking at taking an 80% stake. So I hear you saying already, gents, who the hell is Joe? So the New York Times has referred to him as one of the greatest defense attorneys of all time. He's served as personal attorney for Donald Trump, Michael Jackson, Alex Rodriguez from American Baseball, and ASAP Rocky. So that's how they know each other.
So it's kind of like a Johnny Cochran type,
Yeah.
to use the kind of more well-known name, kind of like, I have a problem, call him up, he's the guy to go to.
What I'm hearing.
Yeah, if you're a big player and you are in a world of trouble, you call our good friend Joe. And ASAP Rocky currently is in that trouble at the moment after allegedly, I should say allegedly on this one, firing a weapon at one of his friends. So that is currently on the go. That's how they met. But ASAP
He
Rocky,
who has not fired at his own friends cast the first stone.
the interesting thing about Tacopina, though, is it's not like what I imagined when I first heard he was involved, where you'd think, well, does he even watch football? Has he been involved in football? He has, and he has for a while. So
Please
he's
tell me
previous.
he's a centre back. Please tell me
He's previously had ownership positions at 4 different Italian clubs. First of all, was in 2011. He was part of the consortium that purchased Roma, and Tacopina became vice chairman of the board of directors. All of his clubs that he's been involved in Italy, he's kind of jumped in at the ownership point and sold the shares and moved on to the next one. So after about 3 years there, he moved on, and in 2014 he became the president of Bologna. Didn't stay too long there, moved on then again in 2015, where he purchased Venezia. Definitely have butchered the pronunciation of that. You will all know them for having some of the best football jerseys in world football. And that kind of seems to have been his longest stint up until 2021, where he became president and owner of Spal. So, I don't know about you guys. Without knowing much about the guy, I think it's at least he's been involved in the game. And if
well,
he like, what's your take on it?
some form.
without disrespecting Tranmere, it seems like he's going lower and lower every time he buys a club. I think it's interesting. I I think there's a thing where big investment groups are trying to get big names involved just to drive hype and interest into them buying a club. I'd be very surprised how much ASAP Rocky's involved in it, or
I see.
is
I
even
think you're right with
aware of
that.
it.
I think it's very much he has an association with celebrities. He's using that to garner interest in the club, get it across the line by getting the fans excited. But the thing that has come off the back of it, at least, the deal hasn't even been done, so this is all just press chatter. But it seems like they're angling for a Welcome to Wrexham style series, and there's a somewhat of a bidding war between the streaming services for this. Now, I don't know about you boys, but I think Welcome to Wrexham, whether you love that show or hate it, they're the first. They'll still be the big leader on it, and these kind of shows are not easy to pull off. Welcome to Wrexham have made it look very easy, and you also have to remember that it's 2 actors at the top of this. One of those who's been a showrunner on a major show for over a decade. So it's not just as simple as buy the club and how you Disney come in and stick some cameras around the place.
Whoa, 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 whoa! They were not the first. The,
No,
the
well-
whole reason they were signed was because of Sunderland Till I Die.
I should say at their level.
At their level. I think
Yeah.
that's kind of where it actually makes it a little bit easier to do them kind of shows because, and they're a really, really good example of it, is like how you can how you can get better players to come to a minor club by offering a bit more press
Exposure.
to them. Like look at Paul Mullen, the Welsh Deadpool. He was in the movie. So like little things like that are a nice thing to be able to offer. So will we have a load of Tranmere rappers? I think that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Like I can't wait to see Rihanna's music video in the middle of the stadium. That'll be fun. She got kicked out of an Irish field for being provocatively dressed, so they won't have the same problem in the middle of the stadium. No, like in fairness, your man, I wouldn't be putting all my eggs in his basket because it seems that he kind of either gets a club to a certain stage and sells it on to make money, or moves on to a project where he thinks he's gonna be able to do that. Like
He was honestly like 4 clubs in 10 years is not, as a fan, what I want to see.
No, like even like he's at Spal now, and I'm pretty sure they have former Liverpool and Sunderland player either as a coach or manager, Docina, the left back, the Italian dude. I think he's involved there. But the club don't have any kind of marquee signings. I think Venezia, they would always had a good kind of branding because of their jerseys. It got better.
Felt like a hipster club, didn't it?
Yeah,
it is. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But they seem to have gotten better since he left. Because you were saying he left.
He was very briefly there. I think his involvement there was kind of the club were in not financial troubles, but I think there was an owner who wanted out. He took it, and
But you see, I think what his main thing though is it's not necessarily that he takes these clubs on to make money himself, that he kind of gets into a stage where other American investors comes in. And I
Yeah,
think that's the crux of it, because that's
That's
what
where he
happened at
makes his money.
Venezia. Yeah, he comes in, stabilizes the ship. Here's the reality. I'm your lawyer anyway, so you already know. And having the likes of ASAP Rocky and Rihanna attached is going to bring an intrinsic value of, like, they're going to be worth 10 times what they were
because
yesterday,
even if you
just
look at
because of.
ASAP Rocky, like he's got a connection with the Jordan brand through Nike that
Mm,
brings eyes in that regard. He's got global fame. You've got that. Even if he turns up to 3 games a year, you're getting on ESPN. Like it changes the course of the club.
a year ago, him wearing a Tranmere Rovers jersey on stage would have been like on Sports Bible and Sports Joe and all
Oh
them
yeah,
kind of pages, because why is he doing that? Whereas now he does the same thing. It will still get the press, and it will sell a lot of kit. Ultimately,
Imagine Tranmere Rovers rocking about in Jordan League too. Like that would be unreal.
plus
I actually need to see that. Like,
there's the other thing as well that it shouldn't be kind of underestimated. He says, as the freak of the group at Football Manager, is like Wrexham for the past 2 or 3 years have been one of the most used clubs in Football Manager.
really?
Yeah, just because people, like, because Ryan Reynolds and Rob
Yeah,
McElhenney are the ones that talk to you in it. Um, and like even Wrexham had a deal where in FIFA or EA Sports FC, I think it was the last one before the
the changeover.
name
Yeah.
switch. They were in the rest of world because they were still in the National League.
Oh yeah,
So still they don't have the rights for it. But when you would play as Wrexham against the likes of Liverpool, Ryan Reynolds actually recorded commentary lines.
that's cool.
So like, I don't think Tranmere would be as clever as that, or
Yeah.
ASAP Rocky would be as clever as that. But there is these little things that make you more of a household name and would make and give a new kind of thing. And it is something that is starting to grow, of proper football tourism, where people will come from abroad to go and visit your club and make a bit more of a spectacle of it. And whether or not that's actually done under ASAP Rocky and Rihanna's kind of vision or anything like that, having them attached is almost going to guarantee it. And it kind of brings in a separate issue of American ownership and absentee ownership from upon far, which
This was what I was going to say. So, like, not to go through everyone who's been involved, but I think there's a couple of ones here that some you probably know, some you might not. Like, we all know Tom Brady's a minority owner in Birmingham. Hasn't really done much for them in that regard. At least
splashing the cash.
goes
The
to
rest of the
games,
consortium are
goes to games
splashing
as
the
well.
cash.
He's
he
been on
goes to
the
games, but I mean, there hasn't been that McElhenney pickup or Ryan Reynolds pickup. One that has definitely in the States had pickup is JJ Watt being a shareholder of Burnley. That's only since May 2023, and you will see Burnley hats all over the States just because he wears them. Now, whether people are buying them for fashion and association to him, I don't know, but there
Well,
is a merchandise pickup
he,
there.
him and Brady both being kind of very well known American football players. So they're the only ones you can really kind of compare. But Watt shows you how to do it right, and Brady shows you how to do it wrong.
Yeah.
Watt has come in and not splashed cash or anything like that, but he's gone on the likes of This Is Football and actually talked ball with former pros. And he admits when he doesn't know, but he's willing to learn, and he has that eagerness.
He also
So he
put a
can,
team in TST as well,
like, he has that kind of like, he would give you every reason to buy into him.
Yeah.
Whereas Brady kind of gives you every reason for the fickle fans, the plastic newbies, kind of go, oh, look, we're splashing the cash in League One, 10 million on a bloody
Well, like
player.
you look at Brady as well, though. Like he's just become a minority owner of the Raiders in the NFL. Like he's not Birmingham's not going to be in his mind. That is going to be in his mind. That is
wait.
in his wheelhouse. That is way more of his attention time now.
Is there Americans actually rocking around wearing Burnley hats?
There is, yeah.
God
Honest to
loves
God,
them when
right?
they visit the place. Like,
So Pat McAfee, I don't know if you guys have heard of him. He kind of
yeah,
has a daily podcast
ESPN
show
guy.
in the States. Yeah. So JJ Watt has a segment on that show, I think once a week, but any time he's been on the Pat McAfee show for the last, I'd say, 18 months, he's been rocking that Burnley hat. And they are like, you'll start seeing them at college game days and stuff. They're growing. The one group of investors that I don't know if you lads were aware of this though. So Jordan Spieth, golfer, obviously, Justin Thomas, golfer, Russell Westbrook, and Will Ferrell are all minority stakeholders in Leeds.
I
Which
know Will Ferrell's a big Leeds fan.
I didn't know that.
Huge.
Will Ferrell's
Apparently.
been involved in football for a long time. He was one of the initial investors in LAFC.
Yeah, he's big on that, and he kind of
Yeah.
he kind of spearheaded the second coming of the MLS, I suppose, celebrity ownership side of things. But see, again, that collective, like I think of all of those that we've mentioned. Oh, sorry, last one is Michael B. Jordan with Bournemouth, which we already mentioned. But I think out of all those ones that isn't Wrexham, it's JJ Watt and Burnley. That's kind of the one you'd want with you.
It's the most stable looking of the lot of them. Like the Leeds one doesn't surprise me. I didn't know the rest of the others were involved. I knew there was something to do with Will Ferrell. But they also seem to be kind of gaming for a Red Bull takeover.
Yeah.
More complete than they already, like I think they have a percentage anyway. So like that kind of seems to be more of an investment opportunity, and that's kind of the worry. And especially say the likes of Brady, him and his investors and the investors around him can afford to waste 50, 60 million over the space of 2 years. So
Easy.
Nate, are these the playthings of millionaires now? And is Tranmere going to be the same?
Well, let's establish one thing first. Tranmere is now the biggest club in Liverpool. Like, 100%. Um, I I find them a bit weird. Like, I'd struggle to invest in a football club that I didn't have personal love and ties for. I know
But
that.
I think
Yeah,
you need to consider it as like you taking
yeah,
over a baseball team or a basketball team,
yeah.
a sport where you don't necessarily care.
But why would you want to get involved in a sport you don't necessarily care about if your goal is not to just make money? The JJ Watt one seems sincere.
I should also say JJ Watt's wife is an incredibly good professional football player
Yeah,
and has been for
Oh,
for a long time. Like he's close to the game.
he was living it regardless.
Yeah.
but
Like he was in and around it.
it's not the most exciting ownership. I don't think Brady's a weird one. He'd be someone that I'm like, I don't really know what's going on here because he's splashing the cash.
I think he's looking at it as a portfolio play. I think he's a businessman, and I think he has multiple brands. Like I think from a businessman perspective, if it has to be an athlete, I'd take the Tom Brady play, and then from a just vibes and PR point of view, I'd be taking the JJ Watt. But where I do worry is where you see these guys coming in, the likes of Bournemouth, Leeds, not to you know demean any club, but like when it's a Wrexham or a Tranmere, it's like not too much can go wrong here. But when you're at the top level, at least personally, like I don't name your favorite celebrity. I don't think you'd really want them involved at Man United, or I wouldn't want them at the Toon, and I don't think you'd want them at Sunderland either. You know?
The thing is, I'll defend Will Ferrell on his one. He's been to loads of games.
Yeah,
I've seen him at loads of these games. So at least,
But he also doesn't overimpose himself on any of the clubs he's been involved with. He'll be
yeah,
there, but he doesn't try to boss them, which is a very, very good thing you'd want from a
I
celebrity owner.
sort of respect it more when they're not trying to do the flashy camera stuff. Like, I've nothing wrong with Wrexham because I think it's the first one to be done, and I think it looks cool, and I think there's good intentions behind it. My thing would be I wouldn't want bad actors then coming and doing the same, just
yeah.
trying to make a quick buck. Where I think we could start to see that is, I'm not saying ASAP Rocky would, but if that's their play is to try and sell a TV show, is it purely just because they seen what happened at Wrexham and trying to
Hundred
recreate
percent
that? Like,
in my book. And
and
I
to
should
me,
say,
that's
boys,
not cool.
on the price side of this. Now, bear in mind when Ryan Reynolds took over Wrexham, they were in the National League and not League Two, where Tranmere are. But they bought the club for 2.5 million. Now that didn't include the stadium, so really cheap deal. Their Netflix deal pretty much covered the buyout on that. Tranmere for the 80% stake. I don't know if the stadium is included in this, but it's coming in at 15 million is what they're saying. Again, nothing to someone like an ASAP Rocky because he's probably only a 10% of the 80%. But
Yeah.
15 million seems hefty enough for what Tranmere is.
Well, it's hefty when you consider um, Sunderland was sold for sub 100 million.
Yeah.
I think we actually ended up going for like 40 million. I
Really?
to when we were so season 2 of Sunderland
Yeah.
Till I Die, um, and most of that was ended up being leveraged off of parachute payments going to the old owner.
Well,
Like we went for like relatively nothing. Now I do think that football has a more intrinsic value now, from a financial sense, just because of the likes of Wrexham and all that. I think the media spectacle that is now Wrexham is actually good because it's a little bit more organic.
mm.
The Like that is how Ryan Reynolds actually made his money, is by kind of leveraging his face off of brands and then leveraging his face and brands off of other brands, and that's what he's doing
He's an
with
incredibly savvy
Wrexham.
businessman, whether you like him or not.
But it means that the club is earning their own money.
Yeah.
That's the difference. It's not necessarily an investment, and it's not necessarily coming from one of his other companies. So it's actually long term clever, because it actually, as we did the little explainer a few weeks ago about uh, doing deals within businesses that are partially owned by your owners and all that murkiness, it kind of dodges that, which is really, really good. With Tranmere at that kind of value, it it puts a level of expectation of success that the club isn't built for. Um, but it also, I think they're maybe underestimating how insular the city of Liverpool is and that general area. They have their clubs, and they don't like they're Liverpool and then they're English. And I think there's not that kind of different level of buy-in. Whereas Wrexham, they're Welsh in an English league, so there was that kind of like us versus them.
Also,
Where rather than
they're a city that, or not city, a town that's been forgotten, and like we said earlier at the top of the show, it goes back to that kind of siege mentality. They're very much, we're a forgotten place. It's us against the world. There's more buy-in. There's nothing else going on.
but
But
but because Tranmere already in their area have that with 2 other clubs,
Yeah.
it's going to be a kind of hard one to break in. And just one last thing on Brady at Birmingham. This is why you don't buy football clubs after watching Netflix. They're not Peaky Blinders. Like, I guarantee you by next season there's going to be some kind of crossover there, just because he's going to have a notion and buy himself a flat cap.
I do think Birmingham's a cool club to buy. If that makes sense.
I actually agree with him here, because
I think
they're different.
They're a big city in England. I think they have the capacity to be a huge club if they got it right.
Oh,
I do. I think
I'm with him
Birmingham
on this
City, look at the size of
No.
Villa. Like they're in a huge city in Liverpool, or not Liverpool, in England. And I think they're a really good position club that if they got it right and got back into the Premier League and built, they could genuinely be a huge club.
I don't know. At least Villa have some kind of history to
I-
build on. Who
I
are you going to
think
build on with Birmingham? Nicola Zigic and Seb Larson.
Birmingham are a
just,
fighting club, though, and I think they're the kind of working man's club that people buy in on. I think that's where there's potential for that team to grow.
and just on the 15 million for Tranmere, that price sort of makes sense if it involves their 18,000 seater stadium.
That's where it hinges on for me in my head, though. If the stadium's included in that, good get. If the stadium's not, I don't
That's a
know.
big stadium for League Two.
Yeah.
Lads, say he's won one of the American $1 billion jackpots, tax free, and you can choose a celebrity and a club to buy in the English pyramid. Let's take out your own clubs, because they're going to be out of buying
That's a hard
capabilities. Let's
question.
say, who would you go for? Which club do you think
You
could
go
you
first,
make
Connor.
into a bigger?
This is very tough. Does it have to be? You see, I'd go down the road of like, okay, if I've got that kind of money, I don't want too much stress. I'm probably going to have a yacht somewhere, so I need to be near the water. I'd be going like a Como type team, is what I'd be looking
No,
at.
in England.
No, let's say England. Let's say the English pyramid.
Has to be England.
Let's say we're going to English pyramid.
Oh Jesus! I would take Gateshead, as it's in Newcastle, so I can still watch my beloved Newcastle, or it's near Newcastle, should I say? And yeah, I think go proper bottom of everything and just pure vibes it. It'd be cheap, wouldn't be too much of a problem if it went arseways. Yeah, Gateshead for me.
Nate.
Oh, this is
Would you go Salford? Take it off the boys?
no, um,
FC United?
Blackburn or Watford. I think
See, it's funny you say
Ooh.
Watford. Watford were in my head too, but I didn't know how to justify it
Watford
apart
have
from
been.
liking them.
I think they're just a big area that is near London that I think has potential. Like I, that's how I'd view it in my business mind. Although I'm not very good at business, but that's how I'd view it. Celebrity that I'd pick. Ooh, Post Malone.
Wow.
Oh.
Okay.
Just that's random, but that's who I'd pick.
Killian, who you saying?
Post Malone or Watford.
I think if I was going to do a club, because you'd want to kind of sell yourself as doing things the right way, I would take over AFC Wimbledon, London based as well.
You London Charlies, you two.
Well, see, I don't care about London. I wouldn't necessarily be kind of planning on visiting. It would make things a whole lot easier, but like it makes it easier for bigger players to come earlier
Yeah.
because you're based in London, or the London boroughs. It's a nice area as well because I would be making deals with the tennis, and I would have somebody like a Roger Federer involved or something like that.
Oh,
Sports
savvy.
star, loads of money, lots of connections, based in Switzerland, so it's tax free.
I forgot to say who my celebrities were. If I'm picking Gateshead, I'm having a duo. It's an investment group of me and two others. It's going to be Sam Fender, local lad, and James Bay. The three of us are going to have a little super group of a band down the boozer, and we're going to take Gateshead to the moon.
Jesus, that is
I
yeah,
think
that is
Post Malone
very.
and Watford takes all this.
I would be interested in that.
I just don't think Post Malone has the money.
He has
Oh,
fu money, mate.
he's
Oh, he has
minted.
FU money, but I don't think he has ASAP Rocky money.
No, but
Oh, yes,
ASAP
he
Rocky's
does.
losing his arse in that court case.
He,
Not the
Yeah, but
current
he has
one.
Rihanna is
more. I
something.
reckon he has more
Right.
money than ASAP Rocky.
Ooh, not
Well,
sure about
lads, they
that.
got more money than us.
Well, there
ASAP
is a few.
Rocky's net worth is $20 million. Post Malone's is 75.
Yeah, but what's Rihanna's?
$1 billion.
Yeah, but
Because like she's
Is Rihanna investing in this? Like,
yeah,
No.
well they're a married couple.
yeah, but come on, like.
They're a married couple, so because the way I like the post Connor sent me that kicked off all of this conversation was ASAP Rocky and Rihanna.
Well,
So,
I did. I think it was brilliant that every single article, ASAP Rocky was he was called Rihanna's boyfriend or husband in every single article, which was great to see.
but speaking of money and money going into hands, Nate, is the League of Ireland about to get a load of it?
It looks like it.
Well, two teams anyway.
Yeah,
Who
St. Pat's and huh?
who's getting the money?
St. Pat's is gonna reel in the money for Mason Melia and Michael Noonan. So I think I think it's good. I think they're two very top players, and I think they're players that need to go abroad and get a bit of go through the academy systems over there that will bring them to that next level. I think it's just about finding the right club now.
And who do
Uh,
we know who's sniffing around?
yeah, so Manchester City are sniffing around Michael Noonan, which is really exciting. You know
He was
what the
brilliant in Football Manager.
brilliant in real life as well when he made his
More
debut the other
importantly,
night. He looked really good for his age, and I don't think there's a better club they can go to. It pains me to say than Manchester City to develop. Um, there's the talks of my Melia going to Spurs.
That'd be a little bit of a worry.
yeah,
Troy Parvey too.
yeah.
It's like
They don't necessarily have the greatest kind of throughput to the first
exactly.
team.
You'd be
And a
better going
Spurs,
somewhere like West Ham or something, you know.
yeah. So like it's exciting. I think these are the things that we've probably missed since Brexit is players not being able to move young, and I think these two players with the talent that they have moving at 16, like, bring it on, you know what I mean?
Do you reckon
Exciting.
it's going to be more than the like Bazunu move, like fee wise?
How much was that? Do we know?
Bazunu was
300,000 or 400,000?
500k.
Oh, 500, wow.
Okay.
Possibly. But
City, yes. Spurs won't pay that money.
I'm not too sure. Like, Melia is fairly experienced for a 17-year-old,
Yeah.
or is he 18 now? But it's not a lot of money in the grand scheme of things for them. Like, even when you're going from a compensation deal for taking a youth player off another team, you're talking that minimum.
That, and plus it go through academy budgets as well. I wouldn't be surprised if, just at the age Michael Noonan is, if it could be over $1 million possibly. I wouldn't be
Wow.
surprised.
Well, in fairness, I think if they can get any form of sell-on fees in either of them, it'd be better. It'd be better to take the cut on the initial fee to get the better sell-on fee.
Yeah.
Get a 15 to 20% in there and take a couple $100K and see what happens.
Because, like, Nathan, which one do you think would go, like, crystal ball out? Which one do you think has a higher ceiling?
I think. Oh, that's a difficult one. I think Michael Noonan's gone to the right place that could raise his ceiling even higher. I think Melia looks like a special player.
Yeah.
That, from what I've watched, he's so good on the ball. He's so physical for his age. He's a proper striker. That I really hope he finds the right club, because I think we've got two gems there. And to me, I'm just excited because we're starting to see, like, this is what we want to see as Ireland football fans, is two players getting the move to big clubs that will be developed, and we'll hopefully see the fruits of it in a couple of years.
It's what we've been praying out for.
Yeah, and I know we kind of said, like, the potential issue with Spurs, kind of like Troy Power 2.0, but I think when you've kind of actually kind of bought and brought in a player and had to kind of woo them a little bit, there's a little bit more incentive for them to make a little bit more effort rather than coming through the academy and kind of being able to take them for granted. So
there's also that guy, I can't remember his name, at Derry, that just went to Wolves as well. So he's an Irish international. He's an Irish underage international too. So, like, there's good movement going on. We just need to see more of it. And
you just hope they don't get scalped by the English FA for the Three Lions is the only worry.
No, like, I think by the time you're going over 18, you kind of know what's what and where the lay of the land is for your own international future.
Exactly.
You'd hope.
I will say, based off names alone, Michael Noonan sounds like an accountant, so he might be the one going the furthest.
In fairness, he would make a great local councillor or TD. And on that bombshell, gentlemen, we've literally gone from all around the world tonight, and my thanks to yous, Conor Glennon, Nathan Byrne, I thank you very much. And we'll chat to you next week for a very spooky episode.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Messi. Messi. Oh, my goodness. Balotelli. Aguero. That is extraordinary. What a head, son. What a head. Back of the net.